So this video is going to be emphasizing on another little thing you should farm for over there in North America. This is optional, you don't have to do it, but hear me out. So the one ability I'm going to emphasize on would be Yamato factor. Out of all three of the factors that you need, or the three factors that you get from the three bosses, Deus, Mother, and Yamato, Yamato's the big one. Why Yamato compared to Deus and Deus and Mother? You get to see Deus and Mother a lot later, especially with the expert requirement that you have to do. Now, I'm gonna say this with a bit of a question slash doubt, or like, I'm not 100% sure sort of thing. North America PSO2 already changed up a lot of things that the Japanese PSO2 did not have or did have, but they don't have over there in North America. For example, they changed up some of the they changed up the ARCs missions on you guys. They changed up on the fact that there's no old type weapons in game. You don't have the Monkey King bar or the gun slash. You don't have the hidden charm perks, which I'm gonna make a separate video about later. You don't have limited quests. There's a lot of things that North America does, and I'm like, why? Anyways, I'm gonna say this with a bit of a question mark. I would advise you guys to farm regardless, do all of the emergency quests as possible, and stock up on these factors. But the big one you would want to focus on would be Yamato. The reason why I'm emphasizing on Yamato is because you don't have access to his trigger. Maybe there is a trigger for you guys over there, but it's going to be a limited time and it's going to be an untradeable item. Because we don't have a Yamato trigger over here. Or if there is a Yamato trigger, you can't really buy it off of the player market. It is account locked. But then again, the way to get that trigger is to do the quest and get it to drop. So you would want to spam that Yamato emergency quest, get the triggers if possible, and stock up on those factors because it's going to be something you're not going to see a lot of. Deus and Mother you will see because of the expert requirement and the ability to have access to their solo trigger. Hopefully. Over here in the Japanese PSO2, we do have access to those triggers. If you don't know much about expert requirement, look above my header or in the description. I still need to make a video talk about my opinion about that. You'll see it in the later video. But yeah, with Deus and Mother being accessible, guess what? That means I have a chance to farm for those factors, meaning that I don't need to buy from the market, and all I need to do is just beat the shit out of both Mother and Deus. But yeah, Yamato's the big one you won't see. The only time I saw Yamato within this year is through an Easter trigger quest, and the problem is Easter trigger quest and the Easter emergency quest. Problem is, it was during Easter. This was a seasonal event. It's this trigger over here. Now, you can't buy this trigger off of the market. I'm going to show that in a bit. But the trigger I'm talking about is this one over here. Wild Easter 2020 trigger. I only have two of these. It's untradeable. I can't trade it. I can't buy it off of the market. And let me go over here. Long option. You can see that here are the triggers I can try to buy. I don't see that Easter one. So yeah, this is something you would want to get. Now, you need, if you don't know how to make Artifactor, you can look above my header in the description for that. This goes into how to make Catalyst as well. And then there's another video that I have talking about Guardian Soul. Guardian Soul is the endgame ability. It is something it's not something you need to get, but the thing is, if you want to get it, you need Artifactor, which requires all these components that you need, these materials that you need. And Yamato, Deus, and Mother, they are needed. Yamato especially. Now, I'm going to show you guys what the market looks like. Understand that this will be different compared to the North America, and this will also be different depending on what ship you're playing on the Japanese PSO2. So, let me go to the extreme and show you guys what an 8 slot is for a Yamato factor. It's not gonna be pretty. An 8 slot over here on ship 2 for the Japanese PSO2 for Yamato factor is 4,725,000. We get to round this up roughly to 5 million. Do 5 million times 4. It's 20 mil. 20 mil. You're spending roughly around 20 mil to get these materials. And you're gambling on these materials so you can get a factor catalyst, which then you need 4 factor catalysts plus an ether, so to get a ether factor. So yeah, that's 20 fucking mil. You know how many characters it costs to get this thing? It's roughly around like I think 10 of your characters. Yeah, 10 characters worth of weekly ARCs missions. This is if you only just do your weekly ARCs missions. So yeah, that's a lot. A lot. Do you really want to spend 20 mil when you can try to farm for these? And save your meseta? This is the extreme though. This is at 8 slot. If you go to 6 slot though, it's still going to be high because guess what? It costs 4 mil. Roughly around 4 mil for 6 of these things. Do 6 times, or 4 times 4 mil. 16 mil. That's still roughly around 8 of your weekly ARCs missions from a character. Just to pay to get these materials. And then if it fails, you would need to buy more of these again. And gamble on that. You would want to farm for these. Now, Mother's going to be the next expensive one because it is still rare for her to drop, or the factor ability to drop. It's not as bad though. 4 times 1 mil, roughly around. It's 4 mil. That one's like 4, 5, 6 mil. It's manageable though. It's not eating up a lot of your characters. If you go to the 8 slot though, it starts to stack, but it's still it's not as bad. But it depends on like the things that you're doing in game. And then there's Deus. Now Deus is the cheapest one because if you look at him at 8 slot, it's like 1,470,000. We'll round this up to 2 mil, 8 mil. But this is at an 8 slot already. If you go to 6 slots, guess what? He's like 137,550. So yeah, he's not the hard one you have to worry about. It's Mother and Yamato, but Yamato's the big one. So yeah, that's what I want to emphasize on in this video. That's what I want to mention because some of you guys were asking me like through DMs and all that, like what ability should I get? Especially with the episode 4 content. Yamato factor. I'm going to emphasize on that. And once again, this is needed so you can make Ether factor and then go into Guardians. So the one problem I got with NA as well is because of the fact that there's no unit receptor. I know there's weapons receptor, but not a unit receptor or an easy way to farm for unit receptors. You can't really combine Astral Soul and Ether factor to make all-rounder abilities. And with the lack of those receptors as well, when you get to more abilities, especially when episode 5 comes around in 6, it's going to be hard for you to make all-rounder abilities like what I have over here with one of my unit pieces. It's over in my fucking storage. We have one of these unit pieces that can emphasize on all these different stats, like this one right here. Now, ignore the attack boost. Actually, idiot. Like this thing over here, Astral Soul, Mana, Rev, Crack 5, Ether Factor, Grand Stamina. This thing is able to give me so many stat multipliers. But this is because of the presence of receptors. Without the receptors, without PSO2 ES equivalent over there, for North America, you guys can't make those combos, which is limiting your potential, limiting the things you can do for PSO2. Anyways, that's it for this video. Question, comment, concern, put it down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.